Welcome back to ExPhi and Carneades.org. Today we're going to be continuing with our series on our survey of Americans' views on a range of philosophical topics. In this video, we're going to be looking at the question, are Americans philosophical skeptics? A topic near and dear to my heart. So, earlier this year, we completed a survey of 1,000 randomly selected Americans on their views on a range of topics in philosophy. This video is the latest video in that series analyzing these data about what everyday Americans believe about philosophy. For more on the survey methodology, visit Carneades.org and check out our methodology blog. Now, naturally, one of the topics we wanted to look at in the survey was epistemology, particularly skepticism. There are several different varieties of skepticism and several thought experiments that could lead you to believe in skepticism. We used 4 different questions on the survey to test people's intuitions about skepticism. Check out our series, In Defense of Skepticism, for more on the different skeptical positions. Now, one way to look at skepticism and views on epistemology is to ask about potential sources of knowledge. There are many ways to frame out the debate between rationalists and empiricists, but a simple way to do it is to say that empiricists think you can only gain knowledge from sense experience, while rationalists think there are other ways you can gain knowledge. Skeptics, of course, form the last piece of this puzzle, being those who don't think you can have any knowledge. Sometimes they're lumped in with empiricists, when empiricists are defined as those who think you can't gain knowledge from something other than sense experience. And so skeptics fall into that category because they don't think you can gain knowledge from anything, including sense experience. But we're going to separate it out and say empiricists are those that think you can gain knowledge from sense experience, and rationalists are those that think you can gain knowledge from sense experience and things like logic, rationality, etc. Check out our video on empiricism and rationalism for more. Another way to think about skepticism is to speak about how your beliefs are justified. Some people think that their beliefs are justified or warranted by internal chains of reasoning, usually called internalists. Others think their beliefs are justified, or often called warrant by externalists, by things outside their head, like the reliability of their mental faculties, often called externalists. Again, skeptics occupy the final group here, being those that don't think their beliefs are justified at all. So, another way to test for skepticism is to assess how confident one is that they are not in a skeptical scenario. We've all had the experience of thinking that a dream is real before waking up to discover it was not. We can all imagine the possibility that we are in a gigantic simulation like the Matrix. These give us reason to doubt our own beliefs. For more on skeptical scenarios, check out our old series on thought experiments. Now, our survey asked participants their views on which sources could provide knowledge, then listed options matching empiricism, rationalism, and skepticism. We also asked participants which statements best correspond to their views on justification, and listed questions corresponding to internalism, externalism, and skepticism. Finally, we included Likert questions on views of skeptical scenarios: agree, strongly agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, and strongly disagree. The rest of this video will give you some of the top-line results, but you can check out the blog for details. So, when asked about the sources of knowledge, just under a quarter of Americans did not think there were any sources of certain knowledge. And you'll see in all of these questions, about 20 to 25% seem to be skeptics. The remainder were split almost evenly between rationalists, who thought logic could provide knowledge, and empiricists, who thought it could not. I also included in this question experts, which we've broadly classified as sense experience as well, because it's hard to get information from experts by just looking in your own mind. But the conclusion here is that around a quarter of Americans were classified as skeptics, thinking that you couldn't get knowledge from any of these things, from any experts, logic and rationality, or their own senses. Only slightly lower share of Americans, just over 20%, thought their beliefs could not be justified. Between internalism and externalism, externalism had a slight edge, though it was just outside the margin of error. So it's possible that these could shift depending on the size of our survey. Similar results can be seen in the share of Americans who agree or strongly agree with the possibility of being in a skeptical scenario, with 24% thinking it's possible they're in the Matrix and 19% thinking it's possible that they are dreaming. Once again, between around 1 in 5 and 1 in 4 Americans seem to be at least somewhat aligned with philosophical skepticism. Unsurprisingly, religion was related to views on skepticism, with those with no religion being much more likely to be philosophical skeptics. Around 1/3 are in either the comparison with internalism and externalism or the comparison with empiricism and rationalism, and only 15 to 20% of theists did identify with skepticism, but that's not zero. And so there are some theists out there that do seem to think their own beliefs are justified, even though on balance they believe in God or believe in whatever religion they have. Gender was also linked to views on skepticism, with 3 in 10 men thinking it's possible they're in the matrix, compared with only 1 in 5 women, and 1 in 4 men thinking it's possible they're dreaming, compared with only 1 in 7 women. Read the blog for even more results and additional details on our methodology. If you want to run your own analyses, the raw data can be purchased on our Patreon page for just $10. And don't forget, we are running another survey soon. If you want to be a part of it, you can add a Likert statement for just $30. That's a statement that you write somewhat about philosophy that will be included on this survey. You will get the results of what 1,000 randomly selected nationally representative Americans think about your statement, or a full question for $150. Check out our Patreon page for more details on that. What do you think of these results? Did they surprise you? Which of these categories do you fall into? What questions would you like to see asked on future surveys? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Watch this video and more here at ExPhi and Carneades.org, and stay skeptical, everybody.